heartbeat of a nation that will not sleep. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born.
Good morning, folks. It's Jeff Daffer, 4 a.m. here on the East Coast of the United States, and I can't sleep. No, I don't have insomnia or sleep apnea. And no, I haven't been drinking. At some point, it just becomes overwhelming. The depravity, the twisted, horrible things that are happening. Donald Trump has said bad things are happening in South Africa. And the truth of the matter is, horrific things are happening in South Africa. And it's been going on for years. But the depths of depravity have been increasing, it appears, exponentially for the past 3 years. It's heartbreaking. You hear the stories. You see the effects. You see the impacts. Farms no longer in service. People who no longer exist. Lives destroyed. Family histories etched in centuries of survival against the greatest of odds. Wiped out by callous, uncaring gangs of gangsters who run around with impunity. More often than not, because of their ties to law enforcement. These bad things have been happening to South Africans, black, white, and brown, for decades, since the end of apartheid. While the world embraced the nonsense of the Rainbow Nation, which briefly had an opportunity to exist, as many parties, regular, ordinary South Africans, genuinely sought to live and work together. Politicians worked behind the scenes, and then openly, to bifurcate and divide the society based on race, something that they openly vowed they were trying to end, yet obviously worked to exacerbate, exploit for their own personal gain. The destruction of trust, the betrayal of the CODESA Summit, the Convention for Democratic South Africa, the constant rewriting and lies about history, taking credit for things that the ANC never had anything to do with, pretending as if they were the sole actors to end apartheid, when they had just a bit part, propped up and pimped up by a corrupt Western press who elevated Nelson Mandela to a position of sainthood. I'm not here to debate the sainthoodness of Nelson Mandela, for or against. But while this was going on, the true horrors began to unfold behind the scenes. With the Polokwane massacre and the removal of Thabo Mbeki from office in favor of Jacob Zuma, the wholesale looting of South Africa and the South African people began in earnest. Gangsters and criminal syndicates operated with impunity with each passing year. With the ANC's conference and delegates being bought and paid for, Cyril Ramaphosa managed to win over Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma by a mere 70 or so votes out of thousands cast. 36 votes the other direction. History is written differently. And to be honest, at the time, not that I favored Ramaphosa, but I certainly saw no change coming from NDZ. So, while I didn't buy into Ramaphoria, and I warned people that South Africa has a chance, but only if it's serious, the ANC is serious, what has transpired since then is shocking, to say the least. A man who openly, brazenly lies to the media, to the public, and to the President of the United States, standing in New York on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, lying to the media, saying there are no farm murders in South Africa. There are no farmers being murdered. There are no farm murders. There are no white farmers being murdered. Well, that's just total fabrication. Farmers are murdered everywhere, including an occasional farmer murdered in America. To claim that no farmers are being murdered is simply nonsense. But then to specifically say no white farmers is absolute insanity. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Because of the refugee program, people, the need, the feeling, the urge to unburden themselves, to share, to try to find some way to get through the queue, the things that I receive, the heartbreaking, the bone crunching, the blood-curdling stories of the things that have happened in South Africa. And I know that many of these people actually hold back the true horrors of what have happened to them. Bad things are happening in South Africa. And whether the government is complicit or not isn't even germane. What matters is the government's tolerance of it, its unwillingness to prosecute people, its reticence to be honest, and its default position to blame race, or Jan van Riebeck, or Hendrik Verwoerd, or apartheid, for the government's own shortcomings. South Africa wasn't run by gangster states and criminal organizations under the National Party. It had racist laws that were inhuman, unjust, and immoral. But now we have uncaring and unrelenting to add to that in the 21st century. The things that are happening in South Africa will keep you up at night, as they've done to me tonight. Now, people can bury their heads in the sand. They can pretend this isn't real. They can pretend this is just made up in hyperbole. But a country that has such great promise, with such amazing people, Zulu, Xhosa, Khoi, San, Portuguese, English speakers, Afrikaners, Tswana, Sotho, and many others, have seen their country descend into utter chaos in so many parts of the country. And to what end? So the politicians become rich and famous, loot. Well, what happens is those politicians often descend into efforts to take each other out. Look at the political assassinations we've had taking place over the past decade in KwaZulu-Natal within the ANC. Look at the internal insurrection of the ANC in 2021, beginning at the Mooi River Travel Plaza, or toll gate, where 100 trucks were torched. Not 100 trucks owned by rich, uncaring, racist white people, but 100 trucks owned by black business owners. Thousands of people killed. Officially 354. We all know that's poppycock. And the president shows up in his $10,000 shoot, in his $150,000 Mercedes, or should I say BMW, motorcade, with a shovel, shoveling someone's life's work from the shop into a wheelie bin, as if he cares. Care left the building a long time ago in South Africa. South Africans have long been inured to the violence, the horrors that unfold in front of them. When going to pick up your package at the university postal room leads to your assault, degradation, humiliation, and murder. When, as a young white woman on campus, Hannah Cornelius, concerned about the safety of your friend who's colored, you offer him a ride home so that he doesn't have to walk on the streets of Stellenbosch. Only be kidnapped at knife point, driven around, repeatedly gang raped, bludgeoned to death, and your friend bludgeoned and left for dead. Lives destroyed. The violent nature of what happens in South Africa, and the world looks the other way. We cannot be witnesses to this and have a good conscience. The bad things that are happening in South Africa are happening in South Africa. And it's heartbreaking to see, to observe, to know, to feel helpless to change it. While South Africa's arrogant politicians openly mock the President of the United States, be forewarned, you're playing with fire. Ask Nicolas Maduro. Ask the Iranians. This isn't business as usual. These aren't threats for me. This is just honest, cogent analysis, a clear eye and a clear mind. Continue to deny what happens to your citizens, black, white, and brown. Continue to deny that there is something sick and twisted going on. And continue to play the whataboutism game. Well, it's just crime. Well, everyone suffers from crime. No, it's not. The blood-curdling things that I know, some of which I've witnessed firsthand, is disturbing and would break many people. The trolls will come, they will say what they want. But until the trolls become victims of this horrific situation unfolding in South Africa, they'll continue their nonsense. But I call upon all honest, thoughtful human beings, Homo sapiens on this planet, to turn your attention to South Africa and demand change from this government that seems unwilling to change, hell-bent on so-called transformation, which means the wholesale looting of society, the persecution, the impoverishment of racial minorities, particularly white South Africans, in a sick, twisted, perverted game of racial revenge. There is no justice for most South Africans. I see endless op-eds talking about how if you're poor and black or LGBTQ, the Constitution doesn't work for you. Well, here's the newsflash. Unless you're connected and wealthy, the Constitution doesn't work for any South African. Not when they need it. Not when they want dignity. Not when they want peace and security for their home, family. People living behind razor wire with security dogs and firearms. Multiple layers of barriers of protection and security. Whose homes are invaded. Live under a constant threat of death. Where simply renting a car at an airport and returning it and mistakenly turning the wrong direction leads to the violent death of a father, a well-known British surgeon, in front of his wife and kids. You can't even drive at night. You don't dare drive and leave things in a car. You don't dare drive in certain places. Regardless of your skin pigmentation, your wealth, or your origin, your life is forfeit. The cheap value attached to life, blamed on foreigners, and no doubt some foreigners play a role in this, but much of this crime is homegrown. The murder of the farmer, tortured in Brits earlier in 2025, police fraudulently claiming it was a house robbery when it was trespassing, assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, and robbery, among many other things, and eventually the murder as a consequence of the wounds. This is commonplace and now a daily occurrence in South Africa, a country of 63 million people with the greatest of potential, the most amazing people, with a government that has failed them intentionally, using excuses. It is time for South Africans to throw away the shackles being imposed upon you by corrupt media, by corrupt, greedy politicians who band together for their own benefit and not for the common good. It is time for you to stand, to rise as a people and say, genoeg is genoeg. Enough is enough. No people should be subjected to the horrors that unfold in South Africa. No people. No one deserves the fate that so many South Africans, black, white, and brown, face. It's time for law enforcement to be honest, equipped, trained, prepared, and vigilant, and ever present, and for the criminal justice system to actually prosecute, convict, and allow those who commit horrific crimes, heinous crimes, to suffer the outcome of what they've done. Until that begins to happen, there is no hope, there is no future, there is no growth, there is no God in Cloud Cuckoo Land. At 4:20 in the morning, unable to sleep this morning, ingesting and taking in the horror stories of emails and WhatsApp messages I've been dealing with for months on end, I implore South Africans, save your country. It's worth it. God bless, and good day.
A land of gold sunsets and skies so blue. Mountains whisper stories of dreams so true. From oceans roaring wild to valleys deep, a heartbeat of a nation that will not sleep. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people's above it all. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. People sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme.